Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Parcharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Devtarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayasva bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Neshtaki. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev Mahashtam Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Tagore Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All goes to some devotees. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Isopanishad ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, we studying the Shri Isopanishad. So, first of all, I want to say thank you to His Grace Amrish Prabhuji and Her Grace Purna Pragya Devi Dasi Mataji and His Grace Krishna Smarpan Krishna Prabhuji for giving me this opportunity and organizing this wonderful program where we studying Shri Isopanishad. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, so we are studying Shri Isopanishad, Mantra 1 that we started last week, and we studied half. So again, we start with reciting the verse because this is very important verse, and we should recite this by heart. So I think I'll share my screen and yeah. Okay. So I'll start first. I'll recite and then I'll get devotee to recite after. Isavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagtyam jagat tena taktena bhunjita magradha kasya svidhanam. Isavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagtyam jagat tena taktena bhunjita magradha kasya svidhanam. Isavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagtyam jagat tena taktena bhunjita magradha kasya svidhanam. Okay. Hare Krishna. Mataji, Divanshi Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Ramji.
Yes, Mataji. So, can you recite that?
Yes, Ramji. Ishavasyam nidam sarvam yatkincha jagatam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magridha kasya svidhanam.
Again.
Okay. Ishavasyam nidam sarvam yatkincha jagatam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magridha kasya svidhanam.
Once more.
Ishavasyam nidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magridha kasya svidhanam.
Very nice. So, is any other intermediate devotees there? No. Okay. Right. So, we will start with translation now. I'll read the translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Yeah. So it's two parts to this verse. One is, the first is the Isavasyam principle that we discussed last week. Last week we discussed actually 3 points, the para and apara prakriti, superior and inferior energy of the Lord, and 24 elements, and the 6 opulences of the Lord, which are full in Krishna, and Isavasyam principle. So, and today we're going to discuss about this quota, that the second part, that we should only accept those things which are set aside as our quota, and we should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So without delay, we're going to start reading the purport. Hare Krishna, Divanshi Mataji,
Yes.
you'll be able to read the purport?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice. So what we'll do, so we'll start from here.
Take, for example, our dwelling, which is made of earth, wood, stone.
Sorry, Mataji. Here. We studied only from, last week.
Yes.
Here.
One should therefore be intelligent enough to know that except for the Lord, no one is a proprietor of anything. One should accept only those things that are set aside by the Lord as his quota. The cow, for instance, gives milk, but she does not drink that milk. She eats grass and straw, and her milk is designated as food for human beings. Such is the arrangement of the Lord, but we should be satisfied with those things he has kindly set aside for us. And we should always consider to whom those things we possess actually belong.
Yes. So, so after that, now we'll start next. So Srila Prabhupada are saying here that, giving the example as well, that we should only accept those things which are set aside as a quota. So what is this quota? The question arises, what is this quota? So when we say quota, it means that which has been given to us or limit us in that particular boundary. Like example here is given is cow. So cow's quota is to eat grass and straws and produce milk, which is designated food for us. So that is our quota. Now cow doesn't cross the limit and eat meat or other things, but we human beings sometimes misuse our freedom and eat those things which are not our quota, like meat. So there are some other animals like tiger, lion, and others that their quota is to eat meat, but our quota is not that. So this point will more clear further because Srila Prabhupada will come to this point in the purport later on. So from this particular para, this point has been cleared here. Okay, so in regards to food, that is our quota, right? So yes, Maharaj. Next one.
Take, for example, our dwelling, which is made of earth, wood, stone, iron, cement, and so many other material things. If we think in terms of Sri Isopanishad, we must know that we cannot produce any of these building materials ourselves. We can simply bring them together and transform them into different shapes by our labor. A laborer cannot claim to be a proprietor of a thing just because he has worked hard into manufacturing it.
Yeah, that's the point. So here the example is given of laborer. Now, yes, all the materials we cannot produce. All the raw materials comes from nature or from Krishna. as we studied previously, that para and apara prakriti. So material elements belong to Krishna. Now, one point is here that everything belongs to Krishna, but in our hands is working hard. So if we work hard and think because I have worked hard, so the result is also mine. That is the mistake. So this is also actually comes in crossing the limit of our quota. And this point, I'll just want to refer a verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 47, which says that we have the right to perform our prescribed duty, but not entitled to the fruits of or actions, fruit of our actions. So that is the verse. It's a famous verse. Karmanye vadhikaraste mahaphaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur mate sangostva akarmani. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So neither inaction or not attached with the results. So I just want to read one point from the purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but that he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the result. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Thus, he is enjoyer or sufferer of the result of such actions. So, yeah, so we shouldn't be attached or not doing inaction or with the results, because to know that whom everything is belongs to, it comes back to the Isavasyam principle. So Lord is advising not to be attached to the result. So how then we perform our work? Because in this world, that is what we know, that if you want to get something or achieve something, then work hard for it, and then you will get that result. But the main point is to not to attach with the result. So this will happen only when we know the Isavasyam principle, that ultimate proprietor is Krishna. Then we will perform work as sacrifice for Krishna. And this is also another verse, chapter 3, verse 9, which talks about this principle that every work should be done for sacrifice, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. Translation: work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. So here in this verse is been prescribed that we should do work as a sacrifice or offer to Krishna. So I'll just read a few lines from Prabhupada, that one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu. And while performing such activities, one is in liberated stage. This is the great art of doing work. And in the beginning, this process requires very expert guidance. One should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instruction of Lord Krishna himself, like under whom Arjuna had the opportunity to work. Nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. This practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, but will also gradually elevate one to transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God. So, yeah, this is the point. So, this is an art that we have to learn. That art that and to learn this art, we need an expert guidance. And that's why we should learn Krishna consciousness under the expert guidance and in the association of like-minded devotees. So where we can come together and learn this process. And that's the whole point. But these two references, because the first one that we shouldn't be attached with the result, and the second is how we should do the work, then how we get the motivation to do the work, because we do the work for sacrifice for Krishna, offering to Krishna. So this is the main point here about the labor example. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we read further, Mataji. Is any question so far?
No, Prabhuji. No questions so far.
Okay. Is other devotees joined? Hare Krishna, Path Prabhu. You might be getting ready. Okay. So we'll read further. Yes, Mataji.
In modern society, there is always a great quarrel between the laborers and the capitalists. The quarrel has taken an international shape, and the world is in danger. Men face one another in enmity and snarl just like cats and dogs. Sri Isopanishad cannot give advice to the cats and dogs, but it can deliver the message of Godhead to man through the bona fide acharyas, holy teachers. The human race should take the Vedic wisdom of Sri Isopanishad and not quarrel over material possessions. One must be satisfied with whatever privileges are given to him by the mercy of the Lord. There can be no peace if the communists or capitalists or any other party claims proprietorship over the resources of nature, which are entirely the property of the Lord. The capitalists cannot curb the communists simply by political maneuvering, nor can the communists defeat the capitalists simply by fighting for stolen bread. If they do not recognize the proprietorship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the property they claim to be their own is stolen. Consequently, they will be liable to punishment by the laws of nature. Nuclear bombs are in the hands of both communists and capitalists, and if both do not recognize the proprietorship of the Supreme Lord, it is certain that these bombs will ultimately ruin both parties. Thus, in order to save themselves and bring peace to the world, both parties must follow the instructions of Sri Isopanishad.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, so here Srila Prabhupada are saying that we must raise ourselves from cats and dogs to human being platform, because this Vedic knowledge, you cannot tell cats and dogs. And another point is Srila Prabhupada is saying that we must be satisfied with whatever privilege are given to us by the mercy of the Lord. Now, this satisfaction point is very important. So now, this is very important point, that if we are not satisfied, then we bound to cross the limit of our quota. Let alone spiritual life, we will be always disturbed in material life also. So there is verse quoted by His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, that which talks about satisfaction, that I came across. So it's like that. Santosha trishu kartavyaha swadhare bhojane dhane santosha trishu na kartavyaha swadhaya japa dhanaya. Translation: one should be always satisfied with these three things: their spouse, the food, and the amount of wealth they obtained. And one should never be satisfied with these three things: the amount of scriptural study, the amount of chanting, and the amount of charity they perform. So this satisfaction, so we always should be, we always have to be satisfied with those three things. That whoever we get married to, or whatever our partner is, we should be satisfied with them. And second is, whatever food or prasadam in our case as a devotees, we should be satisfied with this. Not like that, I need this, I should be that, or should be that. And the third is, whatever wealth or whatever possession we obtain, we should be satisfied with this. And opposite to that, we shouldn't be satisfied with those three things, that whatever study we're doing, we never should be satisfied with, oh, I studied enough Bhagavatam. No, we should never be satisfied with that. And we should never be satisfied with our chanting. And we should never be satisfied with the dhan or the charity we do. The biggest charity is the charity of knowledge, the preaching. So, yeah, so this is the verse is very, very relevant verse here with satisfaction. And the satisfaction depends on the level of acceptance when we follow the Isavasyam principle also. Otherwise, there will be always a quarrel, like cats and dogs, like Srila Prabhupada said there, capitalists and laboring, they always, because they don't know the real material position, the original proprietor is Krishna. And that's why there is no peace. And that's why there is a fight always. Okay. I think other devotees also joined. Yes. Now, is any points needs to be clarified here? Okay. No. So we'll study further.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. Prabhu, I had a question. Just let me
Yeah.
camera. So, Prabhu, I had a question on. So we study about one's quota, right? We are studying about that, but human society and Prabhupada are talking about that scriptural rules and they're meant for human society. Otherwise, our place is amongst the animals. And there's this question of quota, right? One should not over endeavor. We also read in the nectar of instruction. Now, my question is that how can we identify that what our quota is? How much is our quota? Like, how can we get to know that okay, this is the quota for my money? Because there is always the room for improvement and expansion, right?
Yes.
So how do we know how much is the quota that has been assigned to me, and that is when I stop or retire?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to discuss that with the end of this paper, that there is quota in terms of three things, like food, destiny, and individual character. And food already, like Srila Prabhupada explained a little bit, and it will come later on the purport also, that what is our designated food, and we shouldn't be going like crossing our limit to eat outside of our quota. Same like destiny, like this verse we just discussed, that whoever partner we get, or whatever food we get, or whatever wealth we obtained, we should be satisfied in that, So the same will come with the individual character. Like we shouldn't be envy with others. But as I said, that we'll read this whole purport. In the end, we can discuss more on that. But if it's not clarified, then we got some other questions as well. We'll definitely discuss on that. Okay, Prabhuji? Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. What do you
Human beings are not meant to quarrel like cats and dogs. They must be intelligent enough to realize the importance and aim of human life. The Vedic literature is meant for humanity and not for cats and dogs. Cats and dogs can kill other animals for food without incurring sin. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste buds, he is responsible for breaking the laws of nature. Consequently, he must be punished. The standard of life. Yes,
Mataji.
The standard of life for human beings cannot be applied to animals. The tiger does not eat rice and wheat or drink cow's milk because he has been given food in the shape of animal flesh. Among the many animals and birds, some are vegetarian and others are carnivorous, but none of them transgress the laws of nature, which have been ordained by the will of the Lord. Animals, birds, reptiles, and other lower life forms strictly adhere to the laws of nature. Therefore, there is no question of sin for them, nor are the Vedic instructions meant for them. Human life alone is a life of responsibility.
Yes. So we'll stop here. Yes, Mataji. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that human life is of life of responsibility. And in animal kingdom, that they follow these laws of nature. But human beings have been given more freedom and more privileges, which sometimes they misuse and then have to face consequences. Because Srila Prabhupada is giving an example of like tiger and other animals. They don't come and eat the rice and grains because their designated quota is set and they just follow that. But human beings, because we given more freedom, more responsibility. There is another example actually Srila Prabhupada talks about, not here, but somewhere else, that like a clerk and a judge. A judge has been given and provided so many facilities like house driver and more salary and other many privileges because his responsibilities is greater than a clerk, because clerk is given as very less facilities and his salary is less and he does only what is to be told to do. But a judge had to make a judgment and responsibilities are higher. So similarly, human beings have been provided with higher consciousness and intelligence. And that's why sin is only for human beings, not for animals, because our responsibility is high. So if animal is eating flesh or meat or killing other animal, it's no question of sin for them. But if human being is doing it for these taste buds, then that is a big sin. And because we're not recognizing the higher authority, we're not recognizing the whole system that is made by Krishna. We revolting against that system, so we have to face the consequences. So this is the meaning of the main point here on this. Okay, so we'll read the next para. Yeah, yes, madam.
It is wrong, however, to think that simply by becoming a vegetarian, one can avoid transgressing the laws of nature. Vegetables also have lives, and while it is nature's law that one living being is meant to feed on another, for human beings, the point is to recognize the Supreme Lord. Thus, one should not be proud of being a strict vegetarian. Animals do not have developed consciousness by which to recognize the Lord, but a human being is sufficiently intelligent to take lessons from the Vedic literature and thereby know how the laws of nature are working and derive profit out of such knowledge. If a man neglects the instructions of the Vedic literature, his life becomes very risky. A human being is therefore required to recognize the authority of the Supreme Lord and become his devotee. He must offer everything for the Lord's service and partake only of the remnants of food offered to the Lord. This will enable him to discharge his duty properly. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 26, the Lord directly states that he accepts vegetarian food from the hands of a pure devotee. Therefore, a human being should not only become a strict vegetarian, but should also become a devotee of the Lord. Offer the Lord all his food and then partake of such prasadam, or the mercy of God. Only those who act in this way who can properly discharge the duties of human life. Only those who act in this way can properly discharge the duties of human life. Those who do not offer their food to the Lord eat nothing but sin and subject themselves to various types of distress, which are the results of sin.
Yes, right. So here the point is that Srila Prabhupada are making that one should not be proud of being a strict vegetarian, the first line. So, yes, being a vegetarian is better than eating meat, but it's not an achievement that to be proud of. Nowadays, another concept is called veganism. Now, they boycott all animal products like dairy products, honey, etc. But we can see that there is no such vegan concept in our scriptures, as plants also have consciousness. So Lord Krishna is also called Gopal. Go is cow and Pal is to take cares. So cow's milk is designated food for human beings. And Krishna liked butter very much. And he is also called butter thief, Makhan Chor. So now there are two references in Bhagavad Gita that given here, chapter 9, verse 26, which says that Krishna likes to be that what he accepts. And another is chapter 3, verse 13, that it says which food that taking is sin. So we'll have a look those references first. This is a famous verse anyway. Patram puspam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prachati tadaham bhakti upaharitam asnami prayatatmanaha. Translation: if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept. I'll just read a purport, it's not very big. Here, Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord, and the real object of all sacrificial offerings, reveals what types of sacrifices he desired to be offered. If one wished to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then he should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked for. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. If he desired such things as offerings, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, fruit, flowers, and water be given to him. And he says of this offering, I will accept it. Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will be not accepted. Thus, cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods. So it's clearly mentioned here that the vegetarian stuff, food, grains, milk, water, that sort of stuff we can offer to Krishna. That's clearly mentioned here. So no question of meat or anything. And that is the whole point we started, that is not our quota either. Because Krishna knows, because he designated different foods for different species. And the second one was about the sin. That's chapter 3, verse 13. Yagna shisthana santo muchyante sarva kilvishe bhujante te tav agham papa ye pachanti atma karanat. Translation: the devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepared food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat sins. So I'll just read a few lines. Such devotees always perform yagna in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, etc. And these performances of yagna keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination of sinful association in the material world. Others who prepare food for self or sense gratification are not only thieves, but are also the eaters of all kinds of sins. So how can a person be happy if he is both thief and sinful? It is not possible. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respects, they must be taught to perform the easy process of Sankirtan Yagna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in the world. So that is another point that Srila Prabhupada mentioned before, that how come a person be happy if he is both thief and sinful? So if we don't accept the Isa Vashyam principle, then we are both. We are thief and we are sinful as well, because we're using the things that belongs to Krishna and not recognizing it. So this is the biggest responsibility and the benefit of higher consciousness, that we recognize the higher authority, that these things not belong to us, this is given to us as our quota, and we shouldn't be crossing our limits. So this is the main point here. And is any comment or any question on these points about vegetarianism or others? I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we'll just read the last bit. Yes, Mother.
The root of sin is deliberate disobedience of the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being. Conversely, one who is sober, who knows the laws of nature, and who is not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion, is sure to be recognized by the Lord and thus become eligible to go back to Godhead, back to the eternal home.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So in the end, the main point is that human being required to recognize the authority of the Supreme Lord and become his devotee. So that is the main point. And we can see in modern civilization, more and more people, they want to be independent and do not recognize the higher authority. So sometimes we see, and the same time, we see that they are suffering and still not recognizing. Instead, finding the solution in material advancement. So three main points that we need to understand here in regards to set aside a quota that Prabhuji asked as well. So what are they? Number one is food. So human beings have designated food and animals have different food. So one must not cross the limit. And second point is to offer the items to the Lord, which has been given in chapter 9, verse 26, that we already discussed, that food, grains, milk, and other vegetable stuff. So that is in regards to the food, that is our quota. So we should be very clear about it. And second is destiny. Now we need to satisfy with our possessions, because in the law of karma, that whatever we got, whatever we have in this life now, that is the result of our previous karmas. So whatever destine will come to us, and no need for over endeavoring for material possessions. But again, work hard to do our prescribed duties and no shortcuts or cheating. Honesty is the best policy. So it's not like that whatever in my destiny, I will just sit here, it will come to me. No, we need to work hard for it. And this comes with that point that we shouldn't be attached to other results, the karmanya vadhikaraste verse. So working hard is in our hand, but the results we offer to Krishna, whatever comes. So that is the second point. And the third point is the individual character. Now, the envy and the greed. So we should stop envy and greed, because we must not expect respect all the times. Or if someone else is getting more respect, then we shouldn't be envy of that, because we must satisfy in what we have. Because greediness leads to miseries. In this regard, actually, I just want to just refer another verse. It's very relevant here. That's chapter 4, verse 22. Yadracha labha suntushto dvandhava tito vimatsaraha samaha siddha asiddhau cha kritvapi na nibadhyate. Translation: he who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady both in success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. And Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport that, but he labors honestly as far as is in his power, and is satisfied with whatever is obtained by his own honest labor. He is therefore independent in his livelihood. He does not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service in Krishna consciousness. So this is a point to be understand that here we can see that we have to work in our capacity and work hard to master it. We have to become independent in our livelihood, as Srila Prabhupada said. So no one else can hamper our service in Krishna consciousness. Yes, we compete, but with our own abilities. Not why should we compete with others' abilities? So this is the Isavasam principles, So where we must understand it thoroughly, because with all the angles. So this Isavasam principle is the main, very important principle. So in the next two mantras, we will see that who will follow this, what will happen to them, and who doesn't follow this principle, what will happen to them. So yes, so this is the Isavasam, very important verse that we concluded today. But I just wanted to ask if any questions, or first of all, I want to ask Parth Prabhu that the question you asked, did you get more clarity on that, Prabhuji? About quota?
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, I got the answer to it.
Yeah.
But there are still some situational circumstances. For example, so we got that, we should not over endeavor. I think you said that in the destiny part, that whatever comes of you in the last shloka also, it is Prabhupada writing, one honestly works hard and whatever they get, they're satisfied with it. But they work hard honestly. In their work, they don't slack off, right? That is the number one point.
Yeah.
But Prabhu, so on a practical, so there are two kinds of answers that can be given here. One is a blanket answer that covers everything, and one is a situational answer, right? As Ambarish Prabhu says that I cannot give a blanket answer. It depends on circumstances as well. So to be very specific, so there can be some circumstances in life where, so over endeavor, we read in Nectar of Instructions also that it is when you are giving up on your sadhana for your material growth, right? That you should, if you have allocated a sadhana time, you should never give up on that. You should do that. If you're giving up on that, is my understanding correct, Prabhu?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So my question is, Prabhu, but there can be let's say a phase in life where it's maybe a 6 month, 1 year, 2 year phase where it's like if you work hard or if you give up little bit on your sadhana, then you may progress exponentially in material life. Let's say it's a camp, or it's a particular career upgrading workshop, whatever it is. But it's like, you have to be here 18 hours, 16 hours, whatever, and you have to work very hard, study very hard. After this, you will be like career will shoot like anything, right? So that is a situation, but that will prolong for six months, 1 year, 2 year, whatever that period may be. But in that period, we definitely know that let's say I know that my sadhana is going to go down. The level of intensity will not be the same. It will reduce. If I'm doing 16, maybe I'll drop down to 6, 5, or hardly, sometimes even if the day is very hard, 0 also. So these type of opportunities when they come, so again, if you I know you like this cannot be, you cannot maybe give a blanket answer, but still, in these kind of situations, what should be our mode of thinking? Should we give up on these kind of opportunities? Like, what will I do with exponential career growth? Anyway, I won't be able to do sadhana in that 1 year, 2 year, or 6 months window properly. I prefer Krishna consciousness or my sadhana better than this career growth. So let me stay here. Or should we be like, no, it's just a 6-month period where my sadhana will be obstructed, but after that, it's just going to be growth and growth in my life. So let me go for that. So it's a very practical scenario that I'm trying to say. So what should we do?
Yes. Now there is a principle, right? The principle is a blanket. So when we follow the principles, okay, there are certain principles of bhakti. We should be doing chanting, certain amounts of chanting. We should follow the 4 regulative principles. There is no compromise in that. And plus, again, like bhakti is dynamic. We already, His Grace Amrish Prabhu explained a lot of times. But if you got some opportunity, that's right, you should be taking it. But the problem is, you should dovetail. There is another word, is dovetail the bhakti in your lifestyle. So if you leaving everything, maybe you're in your mind, or you're thinking like that, okay, I can leave it for 6 months, I can leave it for 1 year, that's fine, I can come back to it. That's a mind playing trick on you. Because if you leave chanting, it's very hard to come back onto it, because then a lot of other things comes. So that's why you need expert guidance. As you rightly said, that is situational as well. It might be a hypothetical question now, but when situation comes to you, then it will be more appropriate to discuss on that. But again, the blanket rule is that we never leave the basic sadhana of that minimum 16 rounds of chanting and 4 regulative principles. Because, and reading scriptures, yes, I know every day, everybody, sometimes you can't. Maybe you can listen it. But these things needs to be there, because if you lack on that, I guarantee you the whole, the sliding down, fall down will be very, very fast, because the Maya is very strong. Because we are in this world, all the 3 modes working on us, and we are in the Maya. So that is the only time when we come out of it, or when we try to come out of it. We try to be with Krishna. That is our appointment with Krishna. So we never miss that. Sometimes, like as you said, that you get behind in your rounds, or you are sick, very, very sick, or something like that happen, or some tragedy happen. Yes, you can catch up. You can catch up, but not like you haven't done it for 6 months and you can't catch up that. You can't catch up that. But I think if you're not satisfied with this answer, we can, because there are other couple of questions, we're going to request His Grace Amrish Prabhu about that. Because this is as you said, it's a practical question and relevant question for others as well. So, yes, Prabhuji. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhu, that's a wonderful answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, other devotees. If you have any questions or comments. No? Okay. Now, the questions that's pending from last session, I'm going to request to His Grace Amrish Prabhu for giving a discussion on the next session. Now, I think it would be best to post that in intermediate group as well. I think from you, Parth Prabhu, was your question, and one from Divanshi Mataji. So, and this today's question as well, if you're not satisfied with the answer. So we'll request to His Grace Amrish Prabhu on the next session, right? Okay. So I think we'll stop here, because we concluded today's verse. So I'll ask His Grace Amrish Prabhu, maybe we'll take 5